G'day guys, going to do a bit of an experiment here. Well actually I want to show you something. It's probably uh, any of you guys who've got the older detectors, any of the older ones with cancel mode. So you could have a GP or from the GP Extreme 3000, 3500. You could have a GPX 4500, 4800 or 5000. The other newer detectors do not have cancel mode, which can be a bit of a well, it's not a. I'm not going to call it a problem. Most people don't use cancel mode. Some of the detectors, though, are very susceptible to electrical interference, and you probably sometimes wish you did have it. But anyway, with these GPXs, well, I've got a GPX 5000 on at the moment, and at the same time, I've got one microphone on this remote receiver system here that it's near the speaker, if you can hear it, and I've got the other microphone stuck on myself. And with this GPX 5000, it's on a monocoil at the moment, and it's sitting on a whole heap of Denali hot ground, which is very hot, by the way, very hot ground. But I want to show you something to test your detector to make sure it's working at optimum performance. Now, with these detectors, the GP, GPXs with the cancel mode, a lot of people, what they've done in the past is they put a monocoil on the detector and they've accidentally bumped it into cancel. So it's not going to pick up anything. Well, within reason, it's not going to pick up anything, right? But at the moment, this shows you that your detector is working properly. And the reason is that if you use one of these detectors and you have it in mono mode, that the detector is set into mono position and you have a mono coil, such as this Commander mono. Hopefully you can see that. There it is. Notice it's not making any noise because I've got the detector in cancel mode with a mono on it. Why have I done that? And I've got the gain. This also has been modified. I was about getting you all car sick. I'll spin this around really slow. And if I go down there, see that little silver knob sticking out the front? We put variable gain on this. It's got variable gain. It's got parallel front end. It's got variable frequency put in it. It's one of these newer detectors, so I hope it doesn't go somewhere else than who the customer's meant to be. Anyway, we'll find out. But it's had a lot of work done on that detector, and it's got a complete new input stage. And if you noticed, and you can do this on any detector, but I've got this one absolutely cranked flat out. Everything is full, and I'll just duck under the camera. It's sitting there in cancel. I've got it in normal timings. It's in fixed, deep, and the back menu is all identical except I've got the frequency. Well, I've got the manual tuning set at 255, but that is not 255 as per on a standard detector, where it just moves the pulse width by a fraction of a percent. I've got this set up so it will move the frequency from, I don't know, maybe about 6, 7, 8%. It gives better results on big gold, small gold, whatever else, general prospecting, depending where you set it. But anyway, what I've got this detector doing is it's sitting there in mono mode, mono coil in cancel mode, right? And this is how you check your detector. Get a piece of metal. I've got this Torx driver bit, okay? So you get an idea of the size, something like so. Don't use a big battery or something like that because it interacts with the coil windings and it's going to make a noise. So you get something about that size. You can probably use a 5-cent piece This is only a small coil too. This is an 8-inch mono and sitting on the Denali dirt, but it doesn't have to be sitting on dirt. It can be sitting anywhere. Basically, you don't want to put it on floorboards where there's nails underneath. You don't want to put it on concrete where there's Rio or pipes going through. You stick it on your kitchen table if it's made of wood or plastic. Okay, so we got our piece of metal here, and what we do, absolute minimal response. If we're up here, there's basically nothing. You want as minimal response as you can get. Right near the windings, nothing. That's actually really good. If you can get near the windings and you get nothing, and in the middle, it would be maybe it's I don't know, maybe the resistance changes across the Faraday shielding, the way the paint's been put on or something, who knows? But it's a single winding, it shouldn't make any damn difference. But just doing that, it's nothing. If that detector, if you had everything turned on, basically cranked up, and it's suddenly going like, wow, wow, you'll notice an imbalance between the two input channels because on these GPXs, there is two parallel receive input front ends, and they recombine those front ends by in the mono plug, the way it goes into the detector. The two receive connections are basically got a shorted wire in the plug, and it feeds the same mono signal to both input amplifiers, and it's recombined in a multiplexer. And if there is an imbalance of any type in the detector, the cancellation process, because it's the old flip it 180 degrees and then put it back together, it just cancels everything out. Asking such a big thing, there's going to be a bit of a residual there, but that's nothing. If that suddenly just started blurting like it was in, I flicked it into mono, for instance, and it was like, wow, wow, one of your channels is stuffed, or the multiplexer is stuffed. There's something wrong. So it's a quick and easy test. Don't detect because you're not going to get anything in cancel mode with a mono on. It's all right for double D, but you will get very, very minimal depth. But that's fine. Like, do that, you can't even hear it. It's just nothing. So it's just a little bit of, interaction somehow or rather getting in there. I don't know. Maybe it's a longer decay curve and something's turning off before something, turns back on or whatever. I don't know. But as long as it's deaf as a post, proves that the detector is working perfectly. If your detector is working perfectly and it still goes, if it went crazy, it could be that the shorting bar between pin, what is it, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3 and 4, 3 and 4 has broken, or the pin is broken, because if you had an inactive channel and then you powered it through the other, it would scream as well. So that's a good, easy way to tell if you have your dual channels on mono mode working correctly. And also that will translate to double D mode as well. It also proved that both channels are working correctly. So if one wasn't working, you'd know in double D to be deaf as a post, or it just wouldn't function. So that's an easy test for any of these detectors that have that mode. And a lot of the new ones don't. But the other thing too, I'm going to show you something about this Denali soil. This is, I'll just turn this off. I'll make him be quiet. I'll leave the other microphone there. It can do what it does. But here's an interesting thing. We'll stick it over there. This is absolutely dry as. It's it's like cornflakes. It's dry. There's no moisture in it whatsoever. I'll just move this camera up a little bit. That's what I'm going to do. But if you have dry soil, and I mean it is dry. It's you get some soil, put it out in a hot day on the concrete, scoop it up, then stick a multimeter in it. It'll measure zero. I mean 0 ohms. Well, 0 ohms. Sorry, zero continuity. It'll measure infinity ohms, not zero. Jesus, but this stuff's just about zero. So we got our this bloody whatever it is. I think it's an old J car multimeter. I'm not sure. Anyway, let's put it on. 200 million ohms. Okay, that's pretty high. And I'll just move this back. I'll try and stand it there. It'll probably fall over, but anyway, I don't know if you can see that. Maybe probably got too much light on it, but anyway, I could read it out. Say we got 200 million ohms, and I just get these multimeter leads and I stick it in the dirt. Okay, and there you go. The resistance of that dirt is what it's saying. It's loose. It's just loose dirt. 1.3 million ohms. But like I say, it's not compressed. It's not in its natural state. In its natural state, I've never done it, believe it or not. I've never ever thought to myself, I'm going to stick my multimeter leads in the ground I'm prospecting. First of all, I don't have a multimeter with me when I go prospecting, but I just thought about this. I said, just wondering, how it does read. So if we sort of play around for a bit, just I'll try and get on a bit of rock. So there's a bit of rock up the top. You see this rock, or it's actually the dirt's turned into a rock. Basically, it's baked hard. If I go onto that, and we're down at 1 million ohms on that, I'll flip it around the other side. This is just on dirt, 1.2 again. So here we go. It's a bit of darker looking rock. What do we got here? Oh, there you go, 900K. So the stuff is amazing, isn't it? What about this rock here? You see some dark bands on this stuff. You don't know what it actually is. It could be anything. But I'm just touching the tips on the rocks, or the dirt, whatever it may be, and just doing that. So it's very, very conductive. So you could get an idea of how much iron is in the ground you're working. And iron is your friend when you're gold prospecting, by the way. Where there's high iron, there's usually good gold. And just see how much conductivity you get out of the dirt. Like just say, for instance, here, I'm going to get my little test stick and I'm going to smack the dirt down hard. Well, not really dirt, it's just what it is. I'll smack it down so it's a little bit more compressed, like how it would be out in the field. Not exactly, but I can't recreate the field in here. So anyway, we'll go here and I'll touch in there. What do we got? Yeah, it's about the same. Yeah. So it's all about a meg. That's interesting, isn't it? I don't know why it is not less than that. Whoops, there it goes. Lead goes flying. Okay, let's just drop that anyway. I want to see if it's actually reading right. Oh, I don't trust that 20 meg position. Oh, 200 meg position. Oh, that's interesting. Hang on, let's try again. I haven't never had a reason to use a 200 meg because I don't use 200 million ohm resistors in anything. So, or anything around that range. I'm always in the Ks, but let's have a look here. Let's try that. What's it want to say? One, it's all over the shop, but it could be around about a million ohms. 2. Oh, it went really low there. I touched something. Oh, look at that. I'm miles away from the other lead. Look at that. It's flashing around. It's because everything's moving. You're getting some low numbers there, 200K, 500Ks, whatever. As an experiment, I'm going to put a little bit of water on a bit of rock here, whoops, and a little bit there, right? So about half a teaspoon of water on each point. See what happens. There would be 1, 2, 3, 3.5, 4 inches between. Now look at that, a bit of moisture in there. Right, get off it, get on there, go on, in you go. Oh, look at, oh, it actually went right down to near enough. I saw 0.77, yeah. So if I stick it in the water part, and just leave the leads like that. Look at that. I think the battery might be a little bit flat in this, but if you read that, you know, that is quite low. How far down will we go? Look at that. For some reason, 46k. Yeah, I think there might be something a bit dodgy about this meter. Might be the switch. It's not under 20k, so maybe we're getting some sort of other funny effect, conductive effect that might be trying to generate a voltage or something. I don't know, dissimilar metals in the mix. I don't know. So anyway, look at that. That's pretty low. 57k. That's very conductive. And you know, I put a bit of water on where the points go in, but the rest of it's dry in between. Just give it a bit more connectivity into the matrix. So, wow, that's very low indeed. I would not expect that. I can go outside in the backyard. In the wet ground, obviously, is going to read similar, but in dry ground, this is dry. Well, it's a bit wet there, but I mean, that's just dry. You know, look at that. It's just powder. I'm just crushing it into, you know, nothingness. Just very, very light powder. You can see on my fingers, it looks like some sort of talcum powder. But there's no moisture in it whatsoever. It's dry as a bone. So, except for where the points, the multimeter leads have been pushed in. So I thought you might want to see that a bit. It might be interesting to measure various gold fields on very, very dry days, or take some dirt and measure it and just see how resistive it is. Now I've got dirty multimeter leads, and I think I better check this too, because it definitely was reading a bit funny. Probably haven't changed the battery for about 3 years in it. Might be the issue. So probably for fresh battery, maybe it, you know, everything reads a lot lower. So that's that. But anyway, that's with the mono coil and 5000. Oh no, I just think of these things sometimes. They pop into my head and I say, you know, do people actually realise this? Some people may not. Some people may. A lot of guys that probably know it, who've been in the, you know, detecting for years and years and years and gone through all the detectors over time. But you know, on a second-hand market, you pick up a detector. Is it working correctly? That's a very simple test you can do, and just to see if you know, probably one of the most critical parts of the detector is the input amplifier stage, and where it multiplexes the signals. So yeah, that proves that part of it. And if you convert it and stick into mono, and then you can hear the targets and the ground balances and does all that, it's probably pretty well okay. So that's that. And that nice big tub of hot ground. So even on, I'll turn the gain down on this detector, and I'll turn him back on, and I'll flick him into mono mode. Okay, where are you? There. 45s and 5s have got different switch positions. So that's the poor thing. It's not too bad actually. Running a mono in here, that's in mono mode with a mono. And if we get our bit of metal, yeah. I think I got it in fixed. It won't track, but I pre-tracked it out anyway. So that's pretty good, isn't it? It works. Never sounds the best running mono inside the house. It's a fool's errand running a mono inside the house. That's why I built up that, or David actually built up those two dual coils, which I phase into the detector, and it acts as a mono, and but it cancels at the same time, so I can use that coil in mono mode, and it's cancelling. So it gives me the best of both worlds. It's good for doing tests because you can have a mono connected and the other one's flipping the phase. It's not actually getting the target signal. I spread it a bit more further away, and then you can do a lot of tests, and especially with some hot ground you can get some really good results. Anyway, after I did in the previous two videos ago, whatever, I did some work on these microphones, which I'm going to grab, so excuse the noise. Yeah, I did some work on these things. So tell me how the audio sounds. Um, oh, someone's coming with an iPad going blaring. So yeah, I better close this down and go and have some pizza. Anyway, catch us.